the platforms. Hey, everybody, come on in. Come on in. We have not formally started, but we are about to start. I see some of you heading on right now. Those of you that are following my pages, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to give it a few minutes so you can come in. So we're a few minutes early. So welcome to the start almost of the Triumphant show with Sherida Lovelace. So come on in. We're going to give you a few minutes to share with your family and your friends before we officially get started. We're excited to have you tonight. We have an awesome show on tonight. So, hey, we're just getting you all plugged away on all of our platforms so we can be in this journey tonight together. I'm so excited. So go ahead and share and follow and like the page. Go ahead and text and call your friends to come and join us on tonight. We're going to have a phenomenal show. All right, just a few minutes. And if you are new joining us, welcome to your night of victory. It is victory. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's get this posted where we need to. Again, we have not formally started yet. So if you are viewing and watching us from Facebook Live or on YouTube, come on in, give us a few minutes so that we can have you join us here on the show tonight. It's going to be great. All right, come on in, come on in, come on in. Hi, Tracy, I see you. Welcome. Good to see you. Happy belated birthday to you as well. I think you had a birthday. You're going to have to put in the chat to confirm if I was correct or not. I think I just saw it this week. So, listen, you're on the right show at the right time, woman of God. All right, everybody, come on in. We are going to be getting started in just a moment. Sure that everything is lined up for you. Let's see here. Hey. All right, good. Look at that. Chapter 53. Come on, sis. You look great. You look great. Come on. That's what I'm talking about. We've got to catch up. All right. Thank you all for joining in. Come on into the Triumphant Show. We have not officially started, but we're going to be starting in just a moment. So come on in. We are excited to have you on tonight. We have a great show planned for tonight. So come in and join us. Need to follow, like, and share. Definitely, those of you, please share this show tonight. It's going to be awesome. It's not by accident that God has you here. So come on in with us. We're going to give it about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and then we are going to officially start. If you are new to YouTube, you can join us over there or send some of your family members who want to see the show that do not have access to Facebook to join us at SLovelace TV. We are now live on that YouTube platform, so glory be to God. I'm so excited, and you will be part of the pioneering audience since this is our first broadcast on the YouTube platform. Yeah. So we're just excited. So once again, if you are on YouTube, we welcome you as a first-time visitor to the SLovelace TV platform, where we are live broadcasting the Triumphant Show with Sherida Lovelace. Thank you to all those who are just joining in with us right now at Sherida Lovelace and Sherida Lovelace Ministries here on Facebook. And to all of the followers on Instagram, Twitter, and other social media platforms, that are coming on in. We are just about starting. We haven't formally started yet, but welcome to the platform. Make sure you are sharing, liking the broadcast. And again, if you know someone that is not on Facebook, but they know how to get to YouTube, send them on over to YouTube. We are live on YouTube for the first time in history for the Triumphant show under S. Lovelace TV. So glory be to God. Let me tell you, Jericho walls are coming down. Can I tell someone that the walls are coming down? God is doing mighty things when you least expect it. He just wants us to be faithful to his will and to where he places us. And I just thank God that he just doesn't want us to miss a beat. Even though there seem to be storms throughout 2020, God says, I'm not going to let you miss a beat. I'm going to let you keep rolling to the drums of Judah. As long as you give me praise, I'm going to let the blessings fall on down. So I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited about what God is doing. If you are listening and watching on tonight, I speak excitement and joy into your spirit too. That you have joined this show at the right place and the right time, because victory is your portion. It is your portion on tonight. And because tonight is a pioneering night for another platform, I pray that God takes and brings into you the baton that you can receive your next and your elevation in this season as well. So glory be to God. I'm just so excited about this. Listen, we're going to start in about 60 more seconds. So make sure those of you that are coming on, thank you. I see you in the chats. Come on in. Make sure you are sharing the broadcast, liking on Facebook and or on YouTube, so that we can reach the masses and be able to bless everyone with the triumphant story on tonight. So just excited. Hey, sister. Hey, Wanda. I see you. Hey, and she says, hey, my friend, Dr. Chad. She said hello to my guest.
Hey, woman of God.
So glad you are here tonight. Awesome. All right, just a few more moments, you all, and we're going to get started with our show. I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds and then formally get started with the show. So that way we have gotten all of our people in. We are now live streaming on all of our necessary platforms. And those of you that are sharing the page, you've given your friends and family and guests time to connect with us on tonight. So I'm so excited about that. So make sure you tell them to chime on in about 15 more seconds and we're going to get started. So I always tell people, listen, if you work from home, take off your day pajamas, put on your night pajamas, get your little mug of tea, and hang out with us for about an hour. It will be worth your while. Truly, it will be worth your while. Glory be to God.
Absolutely.
All right. Tonight is a night of inspiration and edification. I just feel it in my spirit on tonight. That's just how God moves, and that's just how he speaks. So that's what we are doing on tonight. All right. We are about to get started formally. And so I want to first thank the global media partners for broadcasting the Triumphant show with Sherida Lovelace every week. Those are Vision TV, those that are with Triumphant Radio in Nigeria, and the countries that you also serve internationally. God bless you all. Those of you that are listening from those other international stations, God bless you. I just know God's going to give you something for your spirit tonight, for your family, for your region, and may God's hand just stay within the presence of your home, of your relationships, and all that surrounds you, so that you can know that he is a God of peace, love, and joy. Yeah. So welcome everybody to the Triumphant Show with Sherida Lovelace. I am your host, Sherida Lovelace, and we are here tonight for another victorious broadcast. As always, I'm so happy to still be in the land of the living. So many people have lost their lives, even as recently as a few days ago, and we've all heard about those gospel leaders that have passed away. We've heard about some actors that have passed away, and I just thank God that he's just breathed in the breath of life so that we can continue going. So obviously we still are valuable to God because we have not finished our assignment. So glory be to God on tonight. Listen, you know that this show has a foundation, a scriptural foundation since its conception. 2 Corinthians 2:14 says, but thanks be to God who always leads us in triumph in Christ and manifests through us the sweet aroma of the knowledge of him in every place. That means that God repeats his victory over and over again. There's nothing too hard for God. God does not fail. He's not a man that he should lie. And whatever you are praying for, if it's in his will, it shall be established. So I encourage you, sister, my brother, hold on. Change is coming, and God is still doing a great work. Let me tell you, God is still on the throne. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but God is still on the throne. Make sure you go out and vote. But God is still on the throne. So let me tell you something. Whoever gets into that seat, of that position of the president of the United States, God is still on the throne. And God is over them. God is the head. He's not the tail. God is supersedes all of it. God is the king of all kings. So there's no worry in this triumphant atmosphere here.
That's right.
So I pray that none of you that are listening and watching are in a worry mode at all. Don't allow your emotions to get in the way of knowing who God is. You count it all joy. You give God the praise and glory, and you follow the leading, the will, and the voice of God. That is your assignment. Isn't that easy? You know, sometimes we make things so hard for ourselves, and we don't realize, wait a minute, we're not God. God is God. So tomorrow, we let God be God. Amen. Listen, I'm excited tonight. I want to remind you before we get into our show to make sure you are following me on YouTube, as we are again playing live right now on YouTube at S Lovelace TV, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Sherida Lovelace and or Sherida Lovelace Ministries. So make sure that you are following. If you want to be a guest for the Triumphant Show, you can send me an email at SheridaLovelace@gmail.com. That's simple. Hey, we want to know your story so we can impact and edify the kingdom. So make sure you send that to me so that we can get you on, or maybe someone that you know, or something you wrote, or something. Come on. And we have some new things coming up for 2021. So you want to stay connected with me and just watch what God does in this new season. Well, listen, I don't want to delay anything any further. Thank you all for joining us on tonight. I want you to know I have a phenomenal guest here with me tonight, and I'm awesome that the man of God has carved out some time for little old me and the Triumphant family so we can be here and hear his awesome story and the great things that he's doing for the kingdom, for the world. Oh my God. It is so amazing. And I'm excited to hear him talk about it. And I want you to absorb everything you can so that you can connect and follow and support this man of God, his ministry, and the awesome vision that he's doing. So I'm just going to give you just a few couple nuggets about my guest on tonight. I have Chad Lawson Cooper, filmmaker, national playwright, recording artist, actor, producer. This man of God sings. He's a director. He writes scripts. He's toured nationally. He's an expert at the touring. We'll get to that in a minute. You'd be amazed how many shows within a year that he has been able to put forth, and those that have sought him in this area as well. Just excited. If you've ever heard of some of the works that he has done, you'll hear about them again tonight, such as Church Mess and Family Mess. And I just love the fact that there's more to come for 2021. We're going to get there. And I also love what he has been doing, and including the works that have been going on with him and Harry Lennox. I just love how they come together and they have done these things. If you don't know Harry Lennox, he was with the Five Heartbeats, Matrix, Superman, and so much more. But Chad has been instrumental in a major way. He and his wife, Alicia Robinson. We honor you, woman of God. If you're listening and watching tonight, Alicia, hello. God bless you. I want to meet you. Okay. Glory be to God. Definitely. National recording artist and actress. So excited that she is just a part of this envelope of this awesome anointed vessel. And so I want you all to be able to just kind of connect. I'm going to do my best to watch your chats on the side. If you have questions or comments about the show tonight or anything that you want to ask Chad or whatever, bring it on. Hi, Cynthia. Glory be to God, cousin. I love you. Glad that you are here tonight. Bishop Dr. McGill, welcome to the Triumphant Show. So happy that you're here tonight. Glory be to God. So listen, everybody, we're going to get into several things about with what Chad is doing and the New York based cast and how that all came to be. But you know what I love about this, and then I'm going to turn this mic over to Chad. Many of us are influential in the media realm, the media mountain. And it is so awesome to be able to understand that no matter if it's spiritual, secular, whatever it is an assignment we have in this mountain. And what Chad has been doing in this mountain has been impactful. It is molding and shaping ideals, people's thoughts and opinions. It's bringing history, knowledge, and wisdom to things that some of us don't know, that we may have not gotten in a textbook or we don't understand from somewhere. But he's bringing this to light on the stage, in the theater, and I love it. So listen to what's going on, but everybody has a story. And I love hearing the story before the glory.
Thank
And
you.
so we're going to hear from Chad. So, Chad, thank you for coming to the Triumphant Show. Welcome, welcome, and welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank God for. I'm gonna call her Evangelist Wanda Patterson putting us together.
Right, right. I love it. So listen, I'm excited to talk about your works, past, present, and future, and your pastoralship, etc. And so this is so key for so many people that are operating in media right now. You have a gift of not only walking in ministry, but you also, those of you that are listening and watching, you may also walk in that entertainment industry, and you're bringing these things together. So Chad, tell us a little bit about before all of these awesome works came to be. There was a time that you went through a place of struggle. Share
Absolutely.
with us a little bit about that first before we get into what God is doing now.
That's a great question. I started out in ministry when I was a child. Uh,
Wow.
Started preaching when I was 8. Started playing the keyboard, the organ, etc., piano when I was 5. And at some point in my life, I knew that I was going to pastor. So I started pastoring when I was 24. Um,
Wow.
but I still didn't know the totality of the purpose that God had for my life. Nothing has ever been normal for me. It's never been
I can
a
relate.
cookie cutter, a cookie
Right.
cutter thing. My mother had me when she was 42. Um, it was just she and I for most of my life. So I ended up dropping out of school, high school, at 16. Started working at McDonald's and started my own business as an exterminator. I had enough sense at 16 to call a guy out of Gainesville, Florida. I grew up in Florida, and I researched some entomologists that were in Florida, and it was a black guy by the name of John Dukes, and I looked him up and asked him if I could do a franchise under him. The name of his company was Dr. Bugs. And I found myself had dropped out of school, working at McDonald's in the morning, spraying houses all day long, and doing street revivals at night. and nothing has just, as I said, been normal. And I did that for a couple of years. I remember during the last year that I was at McDonald's, it was the year that my class was graduating, and I had walked in the back to get a bucket of ice to put in the ice carrier up front. And as I was dumping the ice, and I turned around, all of my class, they were in line waiting to be served, and I was like, oh my God, I felt this small, but
Oh,
it was all in God's plan. So it ended up, my mother ended up rather falling into an oil pit type thing, like where they change your oil in 15 minutes.
wow.
And so we ended up getting an attorney for her. I went with her to that appointment, and I used to dress up, as a young man all the time. So the attorney said to me, he said, well, he said, I like you. He said, what are you doing with yourself? I said, well, I'm not in school. I dropped out of school, yada, yada, yada. He said, you need to go back to school. He said, I tell you what. If you
Uh,
go get your GED,
right.
I'll pay for you to go to college, and I'll let you work here. And I went and I got my GED, and
Okay.
he didn't hire me on as a salaried employee at first. I volunteered there. I took him at his word, and I volunteered there for 6 months for free. I felt God was shifting me.
Mm.
And after 6 months, he did what he said. He paid for me to go to school, and
Wow.
he hired me. And I found myself in a whole nother arena, a whole nother setting, learning things that you know I never thought I would. All of a sudden I'm the only black there, with this white firm that's at that time was the county attorney. We're flying on private planes. We're eating at the country club, and my audience, just shifted. And God was in the plan, the whole plan,
Mm.
that whole time, all the way through school. Um, I worked, and when I was 24, it was time for me to go full time in ministry, and which was a challenge, just to leave that comfort zone. It's
Right.
all about, God takes us from dimension to dimension, precept upon
Yes.
precept, and
Glory to glory.
and
Yeah.
we have to walk by faith, and we have to jump when it's
Right.
time to jump. And very much like when God told Moses, he said, cross over this
Right.
Jordan. You're close to the promise, but you're not living in the promise. You can
Mm.
see the promise, but you're not
Right.
living in it. You can
Yeah.
you can taste, you can smell the promise, but you're
Right.
not living in the promise. He
Mm.
said, now you gotta jump. And so I jumped into full-time ministry. Of course, all hell broke loose. and
Right. Right. Right.
but God still sustained, and I was able to, during that time of my first years in ministry. My wife
Mm-hmm.
and we were trying to have children. We were being attacked
Mm-hmm.
on one
Mm.
from one end to the other, in the
Right.
midst of 5 years of trying to have children. The greatest attack that came upon my ministry, in my weakness, God allowed
Yeah.
me to get pregnant. And
Wow.
yeah, and I've seen the hand of God, and through just pastoring and raising up many many young ministers, pastoring in Tallahassee at the time. We had a great influence with Florida A&M. Of course, I went to school
Mm.
there. My wife went to school there. So many of the gospel choir members went to school with the church at my
Right.
church. And um, so, I trained them up pretty much. And when
Yeah.
God said shift, leap again, jump,
My God.
move to Miami. Uh, we got a phone call, a prophetic word. God said, "You still are not walking in your total purpose."
Wow.
And the word was, "Move to Miami. You're gonna find out what your real purpose in life is." And so
Wow.
go to Miami on faith, start a
Mm.
church. Church grows to 100 and some people. We're faithful, etc. And God tells me, my wife um, begged me one night to help her chaperone some kids from Florida Memorial, and to, she wanted me to go to a play with her. And as we're sitting in this play, God speaks to me and says, "I'm shifting your ministry from the traditional setting, and you're going to do movies and plays, and you're going to travel the country,
Come
and
on.
you have to for this season, you have to let this go.
Mm.
You
Mm.
got to jump again." And I told my ministry, my ministerial staff, what was going on.
Mm.
Pastor, we can't do this. You don't know what it
Mm.
takes to do this. I said, but I got to do it because God said it. A lot of times we get stuck doing the same thing over and over for years when we've
Right.
completed a task. God said to me, He said, "You've taught these people. Every ministry has a
Mm.
purpose." See, my
Come on.
ministry would never grow to a 10,000 membership ministry, because that wasn't my, and I had to understand that wasn't my calling.
Ooh,
My
speak.
calling my calling was to train other pastors, and to train other ministers to operate in their calling. So every ministry that we've always had has really been a school.
Look at that.
You see the movie,
Equipping,
yeah,
equipping.
yeah. You know, you see the movie X-Men. It's like, you
Right,
know, it's like
right,
Professor X. It's always been a school. And
right.
and when I came to the knowledge of that, and God has said, now release these people,
Right.
and they're ready to go out in the vineyard and work. I got
Wow.
another work for you to do, and it is to do plays and movies. Again, we jumped in Jacksonville, Florida. Was the first city that when we left Miami, we did. Church Mess was our first production, and we did it in
Okay.
Miami. We were superstars in Miami when we did that. The second city that we were supposed to do was Palm Beach, but I won't say that was a legitimate city, because when we tried to do Palm Beach, God allowed us to go there, but there was very few people there.
Wow.
We didn't have the right set, the right sound. I mean, it was
Mm,
almost a failure. And I'll never forget leaving that night.
right.
The first night, we had 2 nights there, and did not want to go back. And God said, "This is good for you, though, because I let you fail so that you can succeed,
Ooh,
so
come
that you'll
on.
know when I take you to that place of promise, that it's nothing has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with your greatness, because you're
Yes.
not great. I'm great. Nothing to do.
Yes.
I called you. I chose you. You just happen to be fortunate enough to be chosen. And so I let you fail to see what you really needed. Now go
Mm.
get the right sound. Go get a
Mm.
professional set. Get your stuff together, and go
Right.
do it again. Jacksonville, Florida was our first legitimate city. That's where we met Reverend Dr. Evangelist Wanda
Wanda
Patterson.
Patterson.
and
Oh my
that's
goodness.
and that's been years. I mean, probably
Yes.
14 or so years ago.
Years ago. Yeah.
And when we booked the Times Union in Jacksonville, we were told that well, you probably won't do well because nobody knows who you are,
Mm.
you know, at the moment,
Right.
and this is a last minute city, blah blah blah. Do you know we sold out 2 weeks early,
Come on.
line wrapped around the building,
Come on.
and God said, because I've anointed this, and when you're operating in purpose and what you're supposed to be doing, you don't have to work as hard. The
Right.
hard work is just obeying and believing.
Mm.
And
Mm.
a
Mm.
lot of
Mm.
times we as people of God really have a problem with believing God, just as he said. When the
Right.
angel told Sarah, you're going to have what he told Abraham, your wife's gonna have a baby, Sarah laughed.
Right.
and
Right.
and almost like, huh, yeah, right,
Right.
in disbelief. But see, what we got to realize, that it's really not our abilities that it's the reason God chooses us. He
Right.
Many of times he chooses us because of our inabilities.
That's right. That's right. Look at that.
He chose a man that couldn't talk properly, that
Yeah.
stuttered, Moses,
Yeah.
to free Egypt.
Right. A
Our
nation. A
yeah,
nation.
a nation,
Mm.
our inabilities, and so, part of that process for me was just really believing God. It's like, oh my God. We found ourselves traveling all over the country, and
Mm.
it was not easy
Right.
at first. We were going into to cities, and we were, running out of money. uh,
Right. Wow.
like, what in the world am I doing? I got all of these people out here,
Yeah.
and we're literally going by faith. And many a times I mean, we were robbing Peter to pay Paul. And it got to we had ups and we had downs, we had good days and bad days. But I think the most tumultuous time was when I found myself and my family um, homeless, and we were homeless more than one
My
time.
God. My God. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah. But I've seen the hand of God move so
Mm.
powerfully. The first time we had relocated to Atlanta, and we were doing a show in Memphis, Tennessee. And when I tell you we had ran, we were, I mean, down to the nitty gritty. And it was the last week before the show. And we checked into the Residence Inn. And I said, I do not have it on my card. I just don't have the money.
Right.
Do you know God allowed the hotel system to go completely down? When we checked in, they just swiped the card. They say our system is down. We don't know when it's going to be up, but go ahead and here's your room key, etc. And he
Wow.
allowed the system, woman of God, to stay down the whole week until Friday, until we got the money. And that's when I knew that God was the conductor, and
Mm,
he was directing the orchestra in
that's
this
it.
symphony, and
Yes.
and everything was gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And it just step by step. And
Right.
so
He's
I'll
been
let you
there.
ask me a question. I think I've
No,
talked too much.
no, this is great. Listen, family, if you are just tuning in, and bear with me, I'm trying to adjust my sound over here for those of you that are watching on YouTube and on the Facebook page. But we're listening to. I'm going to start saying, Pastor Cooper, give respect where respect is due. Just has been
All
in
right.
ministry for years, has been sharing his story to us about how things have began in the early stages of him going into plays and movies. Just a phenomenal testimony. You're going to have to replay and rewind if you're just coming in. Played the keyboards at 5 years old. Just knew all along that he had been called in some way to ministry. Started pastoring at 24. Has talked about being homeless, but has talked about the amazing things God has done. What I want to take away in this, and then we're going to keep going, is I love it when you said a couple things. God will let you fail so you can succeed.
Yes.
And I think in the midst of our failing, God is able to watch how we handle that. It's like
Yeah.
a test. It's a test of our character, our
Yeah.
humility, if we're really ready to go beyond. And also for us to understand that even when we reach that place, that
Yeah.
mountaintop, there may be still something going on. How are you going to handle that? And so it's you carry this spirit of humility. And I want to say and share with me, are these character nuggets that built you as you went through these circumstances? Because the way you share this is at a place of peace and understanding and wisdom. How did you handle those nuggets? Because someone needs to hear and know when you're going through certain trials, or when God shifts you, or when you go to a place of failure, or when lights are out, how you handle it. How did you do that?
Well, woman of God, listen, I preached a message, I want to say 25 years ago,
Mm.
entitled, What Do You Do When Your Assignment is Affliction? And that message, that message alone,
Woo! You're singing.
that message alone has carried me through the years, because a
Mm.
lot of times we get excited when our assignment is to prophesy, to shout around the church,
You,
to
woo!
preach at big conferences, to to prosper,
Come
to
on.
but what do you do when your assignment is affliction?
My
and
God.
and God says to know me is to suffer with me,
Mm-hmm.
and to suffer is to gain. And David said, but oh, it was good for me
Yes.
that I had suffered. And so when you get to really
Mm.
understand who God is, and it's a and Maya Angelou said, anybody that's not willing to be used is useless.
Look at that. Look
And
at
so
that.
when you really
Mm.
when you say, God, you can use me,
Right.
you're opening yourself up to say you can use, because I believe you. And so the
Right.
real test is believing him through all of that.
All of that.
It's not where you start, it's not the middle, but knowing where you're going to land
Mm.
is the important thing in this whole thing, and in the trajectory of 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 this Christian, uh
Yeah.
well,
Journey.
I'm
Walk.
looking for a big
Situation.
word, but
Right. No. We get it. Yes. It,
uh but And so, just knowing that, so during the course of, the intervals, uh, of 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 just going through, God would say,
Right.
okay, but in order to get here, in order to
Right.
get, you can be a big fish in a small pond
Yes.
all day long, but he said, what I've called you to do is to do, I've given you an assignment
Right.
that nobody else has been given. I've given you pieces and intellectual properties that
Yes.
nobody else has, that goes beyond the church but to the kingdom.
Right.
And so it was all to get me here to New York, and
Mm.
and to be crazy
Come on.
enough to set up an office on Broadway,
Come
and
on.
and, and to start making movies, and to start
Woo!
making, and to start doing, plays here in New York. And when I first came to New York, it was a trying time, because there again, the next interval was, God said, okay, I
Mm.
gotta shake some stuff up. I
Yes.
hear I hear God speaking, and I don't know who this is for, but he says, I gotta make you uncomfortable being comfortable to get you where you need to be. And so, we're living in Atlanta at the time. My wife is going through a major depression. She and I were not getting along at the time. Both
Wow.
of us, both of us sing, so people were
Yeah.
kind of playing us between each other. You know,
Mm.
oh, he jealous of you, or she jealous of you,
Ooh.
and all this kind of foolishness,
Jesus. Right.
and we were just going through. I had to come off the road because of
Yeah.
the sickness for like 8 months, and the bills are still piling up, and we got this, this humongous house there, and I mean just absolutely laid. The backyard was looked like it would look like something you could just imagine,
Mm.
with the pool, the lake,
Wow.
the tennis court, the hot tub, the whole thing. And God said, now what I really want to do, I'm going to take you through a Job experience.
Here we go. The test.
And see, we can sometimes try to hold on
Yeah.
when God is, when God, and we go
Mm.
through this Jacob thing with God. You
Right.
cannot wrestle with God and
Yeah.
win.
You can't. You
Yeah. And
can't.
so we're trying to hold on. I'm trying to hold
Yeah.
on to this image. I'm trying
Right.
to hold on to something that God is trying to promote us from. The car tears
Mm.
up. We living in $1 million
Mm.
home, and I'm renting a car because at that point everything is backed up. All
Wow.
the bank accounts are overdrawn. Can't even get a new bank account.
Look at that.
Can't even get a credit card. And renting a car from Rent-A-Wreck.
Come on. Come on now. Make it plain and clear. Those of
Yeah,
you that are listening and watching,
yeah.
making it plain and clear.
And
Amen.
God is saying, okay, you can keep it. I
Yeah.
admire your fighting ability. Keep on,
Mm.
keep on trying to hold on. And it just got to the point where we just couldn't hold on any longer. And it's funny, um, this has been almost 10 years ago, um, but we had did a show in New York. My first time doing a show off Broadway in New York.
Right.
And that show literally wiped me out. I was
Mm.
not ready, not because the people weren't perceptive, but
Right.
because it was just not enough for me to really market New York to to
Yeah.
to build a revenue that you need, because if New York is a hard place, everything is so
Yeah.
expensive. And
Right.
so by the time we got through with New York, I was like, I don't want to see New York no more.
Wow.
I was like, I don't want to, don't even call the name New York, because
Mm-hmm.
this has caused me great heartache. And
Wow.
it's still trying to fight to hold on. Make a long story short, about a year later, everything collapses.
My God.
We end up separating. My kid, I remember when we ended up getting rid of the house. My wife moved to DC.
Yeah.
I tried to move to DC. that just did not work. And God is saying, I told you to move to New York. Lord, how you gonna move me to New York? And and
Wow.
and I ended up obeying God and moving to New York.
Wow.
And when I moved to New York, I only had $1,000. I'm talking about somebody that was making 30, 50, $60,000, $70,000 sometimes a month. Only had $1,000. I had at one time 7 or 8 cars, from Mercedes
My
to
God.
Bentleys to you name it. I had 2 Mercedes left, and they were on their last leg. And I came to New York, was living in my car for a while, and ended up meeting a minister, and ended up co-leasing, subleasing a place, a studio from that minister. And I mean, I was building from scratch, and God was blessing. And so for almost a year, we were separated. It was killing me, but it was during that time of exile that I had gone to a church in Bridgeport, um, Connecticut, where I met my father that I did not know all of my life, who is a Supreme Court justice.
What? Woo!
And it's just been a tremendous blessing. It's like God connected us to just
Glory to
like,
God.
wow, like, just God will redeem the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I I'm at this service, and the prophet walks in, and I was and I did praise and worship. One of my minister of music friends had asked me to come to do praise and worship for him because he was sick. I wasn't feeling well, and when the prophet came in, I was like, man, I don't feel like hearing nobody prophesying, and I'm just not with it. So I had a minister with me, and I said, listen, I have to go to the store. You can stay for a little bit, and I'll come back and pick you up. He called me. He said, Pastor, you need to come back in here. He said, I know you said you don't want to be in, hearing nobody prophesy tonight and all of that.
Right.
But he said, this guy is so on point. And I said, okay. I said, I'll come back for 5 minutes, but then I'm going to the hotel. And so I walked back in. As soon as I walked in, he said, man of God.
Here we go.
Yeah. He said,
Come on, Jesus,
he
speak.
said, yeah, he said, prophet of God. He said, oh yeah, I see you. He said, I see you. He said, I see where you've been riding up and down the road all over the country with a black Mercedes, and where the tires have blown out several times. And God would always allow you to be at the right place when they blow out to save you havoc. He said, I also see that you've done some work. He said you've done some work in the industry, but he said you've not written your best play, you've not done your best movie, you've not done your best song, and you've not preached your best message. He said I see the contracts. I see the 40, the $60 million contracts. I see ABC, NBC, in these different entities partnering with you. I see it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe you Google me or something like that, and then okay, now the next punch is, here's $1,000 line, $100. So how we rationalize things. But when he said this, he said, but I also see where the enemy has tried to destroy your family, and y'all are not together. I knew that was God. He said, I want to tell you, he said, God's going to bring your family back together again. He said, what the enemy has tried to do, it will not work, because all of the years of touring, the kids were bitter because I was gone all the time and this and that. And he said, but it will not work. God is going to bring you back together again. And that's when I fell out under the Holy Spirit, because I knew that God was speaking. And after then, that's when Justice on Trial, the Broadway off Broadway play came about, and the movie and all of that,
Look at that
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I want to say something real quick, and then I want to get to Justice on Trial. Listen, family, if you are listening, we're listening to the testimony, The story before the glory from Chad Lawson Cooper. Pastor Cooper is what I'm calling him tonight. It has been amazing. And while you were talking, I was hearing the Lord, and he was saying, this is for somebody, what is your foundation before the celebration? Because in between the foundation and the celebration, the accolades and all the good stuff, there's a season and a time period, a block, where God is going to test and put some of you through something. And you said something so profound. You said that the prophet said it will not work. And I just want to repeat that word for somebody that needs to understand that your foundation needs to be right before you get the celebration. But whatever the enemy is trying to come against you with, we declare tonight it will not work. If you're going in the industry, if you are going into places, if you are traveling, if you are caught in the media mountain, wherever, you stay committed to the foundation so that you can receive the celebration. Understand that in between time, that season of trial and trauma, and even where it feels like it's lost, we declare tonight it will not work. Because the man of God just released that from his mouth, we declare on this triumphant platform tonight, it will not work. I need those of y'all that are listening and watching the hashtag, it will not work. You need to declare that tonight, this week, over your life, your family, your children, your assignment for the kingdom, that whatever the enemy is trying to bring towards you, it will not work. What we are hearing in this testimony is not just for you to be wooed and awed, but it's for you to understand that God is still working out a miracle on your behalf. And this is the season to hear and receive and to understand your discernment of the voice of God is really key on tonight. So I'm excited about what you just said to us, Chad. It was awesome. And so when you talk about you all went into justice on trial, and I understand that there are some names such as Todd Bridges, Dorian Wilson, David Arkila, I think I'm pronouncing it right. Tell us about Justice on Trial. What is that about? So for those that don't know about it, I want you to hear about this film.
Well, Justice on Trial actually came about in 2016 when Philando Castile was murdered. I was doing something in DC, doing a show in DC, and I walked into Cracker Barrel, and because we don't have Cracker Barrel in New York, so when I find a Cracker Barrel, I go Cracker Barrel.
What in Atlanta? No Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, like and people like they live in the South would be like, well, why you want to go to Cracker Barrel all the time? Because we don't have one.
Yeah. Right.
And so as I walked in, the alert came on about Philando Castile being murdered.
Yeah.
And I sat there in Cracker Barrel, at that time probably the only Black person sitting in there. And I cried when I watched that. I said, this is frightening to see how somebody could just shoot another human being just because of the color of their skin. They are afraid of us because of the melanin in our skin.
Yeah, come on.
Just our isness is a weapon,
right,
in an intimidation. And I said, wow. I said, I feel like I should be doing something. I feel helpless. I feel like I'm not contributing. And God said to me, he said, do it the way you do it. He said, take it to the stage and take it to the screen. And it started in 2016. We rehearsed, we debuted it in right here in New York at Medgar Evers College at the time, because I wanted to do that because one of the main characters, the production is about two civil rights attorneys suing the U.S. Justice Department for reparations and damages done to African Americans. And therefore, we bring back time traveler witnesses such as Harriet Tubman, Medgar Evers, Emmett Till into a modern day courtroom and to tell their case before a modern day jury, a mixed jury, Black, white, and Hispanic. And then they deliberate it, and they deal with the issues. And when we did the play version the first time, I was kind of scared because I it's the first play that I'd never been in that I've produced, and I've chose not to be in it so I could see it from a different perspective.
Look at that.
Yeah, and so I sat in the audience, and New York is the hardest place to break a play because it's just the capital of plays.
Yeah, that's
And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, but what if they don't like it? You know, and then another thing, this is my first non-religious,
look at
non-church
that.
play.
Yeah.
And so when I sat in the audience and the production started, I mean, the people were so in tune. It was like they were sitting on the edge of their seats,
Mm.
like I'd never seen in any of our other
Wow.
productions. And they
Right.
were talking much trash back
Mm.
to the people in the play. I mean, they were feeling it. And I said, wow. I said, this is it. God, this is it. And so we toured with it off Broadway for a couple of years, and we would be jam packed. I mean, we would have to turn people away. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I said, well, let's take it on the road and see how it does in the South and in the West Coast.
Yeah. Right.
And our first city was Macon, Georgia, packed
Make
out.
it.
Tallahassee, we had 3 weeks to do it. That we did it at my alma mater at FAMU.
Damn you.
There was three other productions going on at the same time, and we packed Lee Hall out, 1,200 people.
Wow.
And it was such a diversity in the audience,
Yeah.
from your street people to college professors.
Yeah.
Everybody can relate to justice being on trial. Went to
Right.
Birmingham, Alabama, 3,700 people
My God.
in one setting, and then from there we went to Montgomery, Los Angeles. We did Beyonce's mother's theater, the Waco Theater.
Yeah.
She and Richard Lawson had a few wonderful shows there.
Right.
Nate Turner rather,
Yeah.
his great grandson came.
Oh wow.
And then we did the Wilshire E. Bell Theater,
Okay.
where that's the big theater there in LA, and I
Yeah.
mean jam packed.
My God.
I mean, and so then there came the movie, and
And that they can see that on it's on Vimeo and Amazon still.
yes,
Like you. Okay.
absolutely. The best way to get it that will help us um, would be Justice on Trial the movie.com. If you go to Justice on Trial the movie.com and just click order movie, and
Mm.
you won't be disappointed. It's very informative, and even with that, we were in AMC theaters for
Mhm.
1 week, and
Wow.
and that was just kind of awesome, like this to sit.
Yeah.
In Princeton, they did a review. They had us come to Princeton, and
Wow.
mostly all white audience, and
Yeah.
they
My God.
loved it, and,
Yeah.
and and so then we go to AMC theaters, and then COVID-19 hits,
It's
but God still blesses.
yes.
you know
Yes.
and so at the end of a thing is better than the beginning of a thing,
Come on.
and you never count God out. Be anxious.
Whew.
The Bible said be anxious for
For
nothing,
nothing.
and
Mm.
and,
Mm.
and if
Mm.
God said it, he's
Ooh,
going to bring it to pass. He
it shall
cannot
be
lie.
established.
You can ask Sarah now,
Right.
because he said Sarah was what, 90 years old, and God
Oh well. Still
still
blessed her with a baby.
blessed her, because he didn't need anything that she had anyway to do what
Right.
he needed to do.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at
He
that.
didn't need her eggs. He
That's right.
he didn't need his sperm, really.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but he made it happen, even
Yeah.
after they made the mistake of Ishmael.
Come
And see,
on.
one thing that we got to understand, sometimes we think because we made mistakes and Ishmael represents mistakes, that God will not bring the Isaac in our life.
Come
But
on.
God already knew before the foundation of the world was framed that you were going to make some
Mm.
Ishmaels.
My God.
But he also knew that the Ishmael was not going to stop the Isaac. And what God
Ooh.
said to you, the first day of your life pertaining to what he was going to do, he's still going to do it, because he's not a man that he should lie, neither the son
Woo.
of man that he should repent. So I
Okay.
know that God has a plan, for the movie. We
Mm.
did a big showing on July the 4th, and I looked up. I was just watching MSNBC, and Al Sharpton started talking about the movie.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "He
Yeah.
played the whole trailer
Yeah.
on him," and the website started blowing up.
Yeah, this season right now is perfect for that movie. And
Yes,
I'm encouraging you, thank you all that are typing in how to get to the website. Please share this information tonight to your page and your social media family. Justice on Trial, the movie.com. Have people to connect, get it, and watch it. This season right now is the perfect season for
yes,
us to get this in our spirit, to get educated, to see what's going on, and of course, to support. Very key right now. And I love, there was a statement that you made, a quote, that you wanted to start a dialogue about the blatant injustice in America when it comes to color lines, and I think that quote stands out to me because those of us, when we see something, they say, see something, say something. And
yeah,
so you spoke through your gift,
yes,
and God was able to develop that gift and increase it and put it in places that, you know, we may have not have expected or known. And I'm just praying that those of you that are listening and watching tonight or catching on the replay, that you realize that God just wants to see how faithful you are, and he just wants to see if you're really committed to the cause. And when he wants something to get out there, a message, a word, whatever it is, he can make it happen. I mean, we're just hearing that tonight.
yeah.
How much more encouraged can we get? Oh my
and,
goodness.
and he brought, woman of God, he brought such a collective group together,
Yeah.
from me to Vanzel Burke, who also went to FAMU, that I met. They specialize in movie production out in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills, and I was singing at a church, his church, and he happened to come and sit by me, and he
Wow.
came in all prissy and little bitty guy, all acting all
Precious.
stuck up, and I was like, I'm just not in the mood for this today, like,
That's
and then
awesome.
why you gonna sit by me? so
Right.
so I turned my I happen to have had a FAMU card holder on the back of my phone, and I turned it
Mm.
over, and he touched me. He said, "What you know about that?" I said, "That's my school." He said, "That's my school too."
Ah,
And from there we connected, and that's how Todd Bridges got to be a part of it, and Dorian Wilson from the Monique show. I forgot what
right.
it's called, the Parkers. The
The
Parkers.
Parkers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was just the beginning of
Wow.
you know and and then through the process, Harry Lennox and I became very, very close friends. He's an executive producer. Rance Allen, God bless his
Yeah, God
heart.
bless his soul. Mm.
He and Bishop Q.S. Caldwell, the two of them are also producers in this movie, and I had
Wow.
the fortuitous pleasure of ministering to Bishop Allen a couple of months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I mean, when I tell you, a super nice guy, but
Yeah.
the gift, and this is, if one scripture in the Bible is true, it is this scripture: your gift will make room for you.
Come on. Come on.
Yes, yesterday, there was a gentleman that died in the theater and film industry, and
Um,
just for the sake of his family, it was a private service, so I won't call his name.
okay.
But I was invited to his virtual funeral, and I mean, when I tell you, everybody was there, from Samuel Jackson, his wife, to Felicia Rashad, to Isaac from the Love Boat,
Oh,
um,
wow.
Harry Lennox himself. I mean, it's so many stars that were, and I was like, God, why do you have me here
Mm.
in this place? And God to say, I shifted you and you didn't even know it.
My God.
I shifted you. I changed your. I won't say I changed your circle, but I expanded
Come on.
your circle, because a lot of times we feel
My God.
that once God expands us, we don't deal with people that we used to deal with, and that's just not my mo.
Right.
He said in Jabez's prayer was enlarge my
It's
territory.
my territory. Yeah.
Don't change my territory.
Right.
Let's
Just
just
in,
say but enlarge my territory so that I
yeah.
can have the capacity to love those and bring those up that have struggled with me over the years,
Right.
as well as embrace the newness that you bring into my life.
That's it. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's so interesting because I want to say I did a post, not just last night, but before. And I think at the end of the post, I keep saying, because I keep hearing and sensing and feeling God shifting people. But what's happening is that, and those of you that are listening and watching, listen up, that if we get, you can get so frustrated about something until you end up stopping your process or giving up.
Mm.
But in order to go through the shift and make it through the shift, you've got to endure. And
Yes.
the goal is to understand that there is a shift taking place. Just hang on, endure, because
Yeah.
God is doing a great work. All
Yeah.
things work together
Yeah.
for the good
That's
for
it.
those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. And so it's just we have to remember that. And you just said that we don't know where God is shifting us for being so faithful and enduring, and you're a walking example of that now,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know,
God is
of what He's
God.
doing.
God has been good. I mean, it's I think not it's strange that
Mm,
you know, um, when we go through fiery darts and troubles and stuff, but
right.
also think not it's strange when at the end of the day when God really has you, when
Mm,
the pandemic started, I was in, as I told you, we were in the movie theaters getting
right.
ready to do this big blast in Hollywood, April the 27th, I think. And so we were, just getting together, all of that. And
Right.
then I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and my wife got sick. And the Lord told me, He said, go home. This
Mm,
is the week before it really happened. He said,
wow.
go home and prepare to be home for 6 months to a year.
Wow.
And I said, well, what, because I'm when I'm out touring, I'm doing like, you know, uh, almost 100 grand a month. So
Yeah.
I'm
Wait a
like,
minute. Go home.
and I'm like, he said, go home.
Yeah.
He said, because either you gonna trust me. He said,
Mm,
he said, what's the problem? You
yeah.
got everything
Oh my God.
you need, so for me, and a lot of people say, well, oh, you're gonna be the next Tyler Perry and this and that. That's not my goal. My goal is to be the
Wow.
best Chad Lawson Cooper that I
Come
can be,
on.
because I'm happy that I have a wife of 25 years.
Yes.
I have 3 children. I have 4 grandkids.
Right.
And I want to be able to do what I do, but I want to be able to have my family and
Right.
live a sense of normalcy too. And
Normalcy.
he said, go home. He said, you good,
Yeah. Yeah.
from somebody
You
who
all right?
couldn't get a bank account. Now you on the advisory board of Bank of America. You pretty good.
I mean, come on. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be, I'm gonna be
Right.
okay.
I mean, and that is amazing. I mean, just the whole testimony of some of the areas that you had to endure in your earlier years of life. Yet, in the midst of all that, God was just strengthening your foundation, because when you went into the shift, you needed to be stable enough to endure this season right now. Such
Exactly.
a beautiful story. I hope you guys that are listening are encouraged about this. Now, Chad, you have a couple things coming up I wanted to bring up for the people. Um, I know I saw that you have coming up in the next year sometime, you're putting together something about the story of Ruth and Boaz.
Yes, yes.
I'm excited.
Harry Lennox and I are putting it together. Actually, Harry is the main writer
Okay.
of this production,
Okay.
and and he asked me to to helping with it,
Okay.
to
Awesome.
put my little two
Yeah.
cents in, and use my touring skills
Right.
to help,
Prepare it to go.
make it do
Make it
what
go.
it
Make
does.
it do what it do.
Do
Right. I
it.
love it. I'm
It-
excited about that. And
yeah,
so those of you that are just hearing that, we're gonna stay tuned because we want to support as well. And then also, was there a movie, revival, the movie, the story of Jesus Christ according to the book of John, which is portraying Jesus as a black man? Is that still in
absolutely.
the making?
That is done.
That's
So
done.
now
Okay.
all you got to do is go to revivalthemovie.com, and Harry too was the main writer uh, of he and Dr. Holly Carter,
Okay.
who produced the Clark Sisters movie. Um,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
they
Yes.
wrote Revival the movie, and so it's the first time on that level that
Yeah.
you see a Jesus movie with 95% of a black cast.
Black cast.
Black Jesus, which is played by Molly Music.
Molly Music. I
Shaka
see that.
Khan is in it.
Carrie
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams. Yeah.
hmm
Wow.
Kenny Lattimore plays Lazarus.
Right.
Um, but it's just good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just good stuff.
This is good.
Yeah, yeah. So the way to support that is so two movies they need to watch
Yes.
this week is Justice
Just
on
on
Trial, the
trial.
movie. Go to justiceontrial.themovie.com, justiceontrialthemovie.com, and revivalthemovie.com. And in both of them, both of them are like quality $1 million movies that's produced by black people,
Look
because
at that.
we think just that much of our people to put quality stuff out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. Hey, thank you all that are chatting right now that put in, thank you, Tracy, thank you, Wanda, for putting in those links for people to go to, even if they're catching the replay. Those of you that are listening live, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, please write that down. Please go and support these works in the media industry. I tell you, media is such a powerful entity, and when God allows us to go into this mountain, we got to make impact. We gotta, make change. We gotta not just say I'm in this, but we gotta say I'm in this with God. God, what do you want me to do with this, so that we can
Right.
really reach the people and support and bring light to certain situations
That's
or
right.
topics. And so we're bringing light, especially now, preparing to vote for some of us tomorrow or prepare for the waiting of the results on tomorrow. All of this is so influential.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I thank God that you were a chosen one, Chad, that you endured those years, but yet you still show so much humility and so much openness to bless those that are coming up in the industry, and even those that are in the industry now, to sustain themselves, knowing that if God brought them to it, He will bring them through it.
That's it.
And that whatever the enemy's trying to come against them with, it will not work.
Will not work.
We say tonight, it will not work. I'm just going to keep saying that tonight. Glory be to God. It will not work.
That's it.
Listen, how can the listeners and viewers follow you and support you on whatever platform? Please share with us any last things that you want us to know.
Thank you again. They can follow me on Instagram at Chad Lawson, LAWSONCOOPER, Chad Lawson Cooper on Instagram. On Twitter, the real Chad Lawson Cooper. On Facebook, Chad Lawson Cooper Movies and Plays.
I love it.
Yep,
Perfect.
yep. And
Fantastic.
yep, and we respond back. We're always looking for new content. We do also have, and I think Evangelist Wanda Patterson will like to know that we're also working on the movie Church Mess.
Yes.
For that will probably start the end of February. So we're casting for that. And
Yes.
Rance Allen he was going to be the bishop in that movie. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yep,
Oh,
and lost another friend today. You may know him too, Chris Bolton. He had some songs out, toured in several national productions. Yeah.
wow.
So, but we're gonna do that movie. So
Yeah. The work has to keep going.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about Church Mess. So we'll be able to know about all that as we follow you on social media platforms, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So those
Absolutely.
of you that are listening and watching, you've got to tonight when we get off, make sure that you follow and like and share not only the broadcast, but follow chat in these areas. Continue to support. I really want you all to watch the movies that have been mentioned on tonight and to continue. And I do want to add that we didn't get to, but I do want to add that you do have an online service on Sunday.
Yes.
With your church, a Wealthy Place Kingdom Church.
Yeah.
Tell us real quick how to get to that.
On Facebook, just put in your search, A Wealthy Place Kingdom Church. And it's every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Perfect.
Eastern Standard. Yep.
3 p.m. Eastern Standard. So listen, guys, we can get double word on Sundays. Once you finish wherever you're listening at the 10 and the 11, go get something to eat, and then at 3 o'clock, hop on to a Wealthy Place Kingdom Church. Glory be to God. We got people on Sundays. Some of y'all missing some meals. So 3 o'clock, you get to get filled back up again. Amen.
That's right. Amen.
Thank you so much for
Thank
available
you.
time to come on the Triumphant Show. We appreciate
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's been my pleasure. A blessing.
Yeah. And we have to bring you back in another 6 months or so we can hear updates of what's been going on and how God's just been wowing and amazing us at how you've been enduring so much, but yet he still blesses and has given you the victory. You got to come back.
I would love to. And I got to hear you preach. So now when is your church service?
Oh, praise the Lord. It's every Monday night at 8 p.m. here. For now, glory be to God. And guess what? We just added YouTube. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna let you all go, but listen, this is really quick. I was telling Chad that I had to make sure I have a list of things I want to do for the platform, and one of them was I needed to connect my streamings to YouTube. And so we had a brief conversation just today, and I took a minute off from work and I said, let me figure this out. And I sent a chat to someone, and she showed me how quick and easy I could get it done. I could have done this weeks ago. Wow. But it's because of me, because of Chad hearing from the voice of God, even though he was speaking of his father, but God spoke into my spirit and it began to stir because it was on my to-do list and I was just waiting and taking my time, but God allowed it today. So those of you, again, that are listening tonight, watching, viewing, or catching the replay, you're listening to the first broadcast on YouTube under S. Lovelace TV. So I need to make sure that you do subscribe to my channel that's been up for a couple of weeks now, and now we'll be able to put the shows on that platform as well as the other platforms through the other global media platforms that we're on, but at least it's on my platform too, right?
Amen. Amen.
So that way I can have it. Listen, if you have a guest, everybody, that you want to be on the show, or you have a story, a triumphant story, please email us at SheridaLovelace@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow, like, and share me here on all social media platforms at Facebook at Sherida Lovelace, Sherida Lovelace Ministries, Instagram, and Twitter. Listen, I want to thank everybody for joining the show tonight. You have been listening to the Triumphant Show with Sherida Lovelace. I've been so humbled to be your host on tonight. I pray that everybody rest well. I pray everyone receives a nugget from tonight from the awesome man of God who has just poured out his transparent but triumphant testimony and how he is being used mightily in the media mountain. So we want to continue to pray for him, speak blessings into his life, the life of his wife and his family, that God continues to do greater works in and through him. So glory be to God. May everyone rest well tonight, and may God meet you at your wealthy place, not just on Sunday at 3 p.m., but every night as you lay your head down to sleep. All right, that concludes our show for tonight. God bless everybody, and we'll see you next week.
All right. God bless you.
God bless you.
Love you.